Good. James, thanks for your time.
No worries.
Congratulations on a fantastic first event, in Europe, in PFL Europe. How did it exceed expectations, or how did you find it?
I think that was perfect.
Yeah.
I think that was our arrival on the scene, right? PFL's been doing big things, acting a lot bigger than we actually are over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
And we've talked about Europe for a while, and now we've delivered. So massive moment for us, and for the fighters and for the fans. You see what it's like out there.
Absolutely, yeah.
For a first go, could be happy.
Brilliant. The production was great, and I think the fans really helped push that as well, and made the atmosphere electric.
Yeah, I mean, it was a beautifully curated card,
100%.
right? So top to bottom, it delivered. So yeah.
Thank you.
How big do you think you can get?
Well, I think for us, it's about going all the way to the top, right? So right now, you could argue with the number 2 across all metrics, business metrics, fan base. We're global, right? UFC been doing a heavy lift for 35 years, and they've done a great job to get us mainstream as a sport. But now there's space for a new player, and we don't need to beat them to win. There's enough to go around, right? As MMA fans, which I am, and we are, UFC can only do so many events, and we're going to be a co-leader in the sport, if not the number 1 in a short period.
If there was one thing as fans of mixed martial arts we could all do to improve just MMA in general, what could it be?
Well, I think it comes down to the fighters, right? So it's giving fighters more opportunities, right? The demand is there. Look at everyone here today, right? Look at the fans. People want more MMA. So I think it's about supporting the fighters, putting them first, giving them more stability, right? More opportunities. Today we have, a card of 10 fighters in the end, 10 fights in the end, and that's creating more opportunities for the fighters. So it's all about supporting the fighter, and that's what you need to do as a fan.
That's very interesting you say that, because the fighters that we interviewed here, they were very grateful for what you guys are doing for them.
Yeah, look, our mission is to advance and grow the sport. Professional is in our name, and that's for a reason. We're here to professionalize the sport, right? It's still in Europe, there's a lot of hype, a lot of fans, massive gates with the UFC, and now it's about structuring it in a way where we give the athletes the opportunity to compete and win, and ultimately control their own careers. If you're good enough to get in the UFC, in the PFL, then it's on you. You keep winning, you're rewarded, right? In our $1 million season, you compete twice in the regular season. If you get through, you go to the playoffs. If you win that, you go to the championship. 4 fights, 8-9 months, $1 million. World champion, right? As a fighter, what more do you want? But next year in the PFL, by the way, you've got to come back and defend it. That's true sport, and that's what we're about. So.
Yeah, just 2 more questions, guys. That's all right. Just one from me then. I want to talk about obviously some superstars that have obviously performed this evening. Lewis Lee Scott, absolutely fantastic performance, and obviously Lewis McGregor. I just want to get your thoughts on them and their performance, and maybe what's next for them, because I know Lewis only had a 1-fight deal. So what's next?
Those 2 are studs, right? I think there's a lot of talent coming out of Manchester, right? Manchester top teams on a pretty hot streak. Dakota's there. I think Manchester in general as well, with Brendan winning last year, but those 2 are really exciting, and I think they showed that tonight. Lewis is a lot more loud than Louis, right? And actually, Louis' knockout was a bit louder than Lewis's. So it's funny how it works, but yeah, it was really good to see, and I think they've got a bright future in the PFL.
Is there a chance to get a PFL show? I know Dakota called for it, Lewis called for it, the other Lewis called for it.
Yeah.
Is there a chance to get a show?
Top of the list.
Yeah. Okay.
I
Thanks
feel
so
like
much.
the UFC sometimes kind of like dropped the ball in Europe. I feel like they haven't paid as much attention and haven't been coming here as often. Do you sense that as well? And what are your plans to sort of take over?
Look, I think they built an amazing business, but they're still exporting the US product to the UK. If maybe once, twice now, which is great for the fans. But ultimately, we're here to be here 4, 5, 6, 10 times a year, or more. Again, back to the fighters, back to the fans.
Very quickly, could you just say a few words as well about Newcastle as a host city for this historic event?
Newcastle's perfect, right? So when we were looking at the map, we knew that Newcastle would deliver. I think over the last 5, 6 years, obviously we've had COVID, but it's been starved of the best MMA, and it's a fighting city. I lived here for 4 or 5 years. It was the perfect time, and look what happened. It was the perfect outcome.
And how's it feel to have it in an arena that's known for winning, such as the Newcastle Eagles?
Yeah, big up the Eagles, right? I came on Friday, and they competed with the London Lions, so I was a bit conflicted. But it's pretty cool. Basketball and MMA, there's some good crossover there, so more to come on that.
Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.